bullshit, y'all. We got to talk through it. Every day I feel more in tune with what this world is trying to do and what we need to do to push back on it, because they are trying to blend us. They try to make us into Autobots, and everybody go out there and say pleasantries and really hide who you really are because we want to make you automated and autonomous. Like, oh God, we're all turning into Teslas. The best car ever. But they trying to turn us into Teslas. Patrick Beverly, there was a report that he was banned from ESPN this weekend and all their future shows because of what he had in exchange with Melinda Adams, a well-respected, world-renowned, if you know the industry, producer at ESPN. She's been there since like 2008. Okay, so obviously I know all parties involved. Let's talk about this because that was strange to me. My group text was lighting up like Pat Bev got banned from ESPN. I was like, damn, that's good for him, if that's true. Now I took it a different angle than the masses. Let's talk through this. So first, let's give you guys some context and show you the videos of Pat Beverly in this exchange with Melinda Adams.
Here.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Before I finish.
Yeah.
You subscribe to my pod?
Do I subscribe to you? I do not.
So you can't interview me then. No
Okay, well,
disrespect.
Jamal is here.
You subscribe? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Again, there were a couple times within a bucket or two. In previous games, y'all have been able to kind of get over that hump, or maybe. Was it anything they did in particular, or was it just one of those where the bucket didn't go down, there wasn't the stop, they made one? What kind of prevented that you all from being able to get over, kind of like you have in the past?
You'll move that mic, please, or just get out the circle, please, for me, please, ma'am. If you're not subscribed to my pod, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, right there. All right, so everybody's like, ooh, interesting. Two things that jumped out. One, I want y'all to notice when y'all see that video. Let's put it back up there. Let's put it out there without the sound. Let's see our production value right here. I just want y'all to see and notice one thing, because this is how they get you, right? You see at the top, not Alex Golden, whatever his name is. Patrick Beverly tells female, stop it there. Let's take that off. Tells female reporter. They already trying to get you leaning. Female reporter. When Patrick Beverly tells her not to record him or she can't ask him a question because she doesn't subscribe to his podcast. But then he asked the same question to the male reporter. All right, that's part one. Part one already. He's like, damn. Because they made it seem like he singled her out. No, he was singling out everybody who was asking the question, are you subscribed to my podcast? Now, why would he do that, right? The same Pat Beverly who threw a ball in the stands, hit a woman or whatever, all this stuff, craziness, like all that's out of bounds. All that's bad Pat Bev, right? But we ain't talking about that. That ain't why the headline was ESPN bans Patrick Beverly from all future shows. It was that exchange. And in that exchange, So they try to paint it a different way. You know the identity politics, the genders coming into it. Next thing you know, they're going to be calling them misogynists. We know where you're going, all right? Just off of that. Second thing I notice is not one single solitary soul came to her defense in the moment, which lets you know, as they say, call your foul when there's a foul. Nobody tripped. And matter of fact, if they would have showed it, you could hear it. Everybody else probably got tighter in the circle if they subscribed to his podcast because they're like, access granted. Nobody said a damn thing. So if there's this whole world of reporters and our union and our ethics and respecting us, how come nobody said, why wasn't the next question or statement, hey man, that's not right, or anything like that? Now I know what you're gonna say, well, because of job security, but that's the point. Everybody's putting some agenda, putting some situation before the truth. Everybody, including a headline that says, Pat Bev tells female reporter. Goodness, they try to get us leaning. All right, so then that happened. I was like, I'm still thinking, the reason I thought it was good for Pat Bev is because Pat Bev doesn't need ESPN because NBA won. But two, he does have his own podcast, and we know where the world is headed. So look, you could be on ESPN, and that's big, and that's major, and that's amazing. At the same time, if they're going to now put you in a category that seems like, oh, you're not good enough, or you are too negative or too bad to be on the main platform, that's a positive. It worked for Pat McAfee. It worked for Pat McAfee. Oh, man, we don't hire punters. Oh, man, he over there just cursing and hanging with his buds. That ain't our brand. It worked for Pat McAfee. So I'm thinking like, that's a little jet fuel if you Pat Bev to be the outcast, right? That's the word I'm looking for. Be the outcast. I thought it was good. I was like, all right, you don't raise your hand to be it, but when you are it, Angel Reese, run with it being the villain. Exactly, right? So I saw all that. I was like, damn, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, let me look into it more. And then my man, somebody I salute, somebody I truly respect, Nick Wright. He comes out and gives Pat Bev the business. Let's listen to this.
From when you got to Houston, I was there, you were thrilled to be in the league. Happiest guy in the world, hanging out at Onyx at 3 in the morning with your ridiculous fake chains because you couldn't get into Dream Jet. I understand I was in a similar spot, buddy. And you went from that to whatever you've become, a delusional, cheap shot artist, misogynistic clown. Promoting your podcast at the expense of your career, which to its credit, let me check, while still behind Andy Roddick's tennis podcast and your own teammates pod, you are ahead of Bear Grease by Clay Newcomb. So good luck with it. So how did you get here? And how did Pat Bev become a guy that we talk about despite the basketball reference page? A creation of your own delusion in Houston.
Shit.
One and done every year that you played. You know how they broke through to make the conference finals? I don't know, but I know you were out that year. Then they didn't have another playoff run till they traded you and then promptly made another conference finals. So what happened then? You went to the Clippers and you beat Kevin Durant in a basketball game and talked about it. And then he promptly dropped 50 on you and reminded everyone who he was and who you were. That offseason, you then declared to anyone who would listen, the next 5 years are mine. Steph Curry's had his time. By the way, those 5 years ended literally last night. It's been 5 years since then. How did that go, those 5 years? Well, the first year, what happened in the bubble? You started the bubble by disrespecting Michelle Roberts in front of your colleagues, and they had to talk you down from it. You ended the bubble by being a key part of the biggest gag job in the last 30 years in the NBA. What did you do the next season? The next year, Ty Lue's big adjustment. The one time the Clippers are going on a playoff run. You remember what it was? Sitting your ass on the bench. That's what turned that playoff run around. How did that playoff run end? Oh, yeah. With Chris Paul having the best game of his life on you, and you dealing with it by shoving a man in the back when he wasn't looking, and then going on TV and calling a legend of the game a cone. What then happened after that? 2022, you won your championship. Unfortunately, it was a play-in game, and you celebrated like it was. And then 2023 to 2024, you have been on the Jazz, the Lakers, the Magic, the Bulls, the Sixers, and the Bucks, and not a single one of them wanted to keep you around. And you ended that tenure by throwing a basketball at a woman's head, getting it back, throwing it at another fan, and then yelling at another woman in the locker room because she doesn't listen to your terrible podcast. So if this was your last moment in the league, good riddance. Won't be missed, won't be memorable. I mean, congrats for creating something out of thin air like the Wizard of Oz that never should have existed, to where you're a guy that's talked about. But unnecessary from start to finish, pal.
Woo! It's not Nick's fault. It's not Nick's fault. Did I do that? Wow, wow, wow. I deeply respect Nick Wright. Even in disagreement, I deeply respect Nick Wright. I like how he goes about it. I ain't asked you what you thought. I know y'all gonna tell me though. If you don't like Nick Wright, okay. If you do like Nick Wright, okay. I'm telling you what I'm thinking right now. That mainstream media, man, it's not Nick's fault. This feels eerily familiar to me, what Nick Wright just did. It's the same thing they did to Cam Newton when Cam Newton was talking about those quarterbacks being game managers. Instead of addressing the individual act that got the headline, the reason we talk about Pat Bev is not because he used to hang out and want to go to Onyx or all the teams he's been on. Nobody woke up, what was it, Saturday? It was like, oh, somebody need to read me the biography of Pat Beverly. No, it was a scrum. It was them in the locker room, and that exchange happened, and I would think we would keep it to that exchange. But what happens is character assassination. What happened is I'm going to shoot this motherfucker up and let you know he ain't shit. So when he shoots back, oh, see, look at him. I told you. Wait a minute. You unloaded the clip on him. All he said respectfully to a reporter, stop making it a female reporter, because he said it to the man too, is do you subscribe to my podcast? Now, last time I checked in my media training, NFL 101, I had the option, once I went to an interview, to answer it any way I wanted to. Matter of fact, they train you. Do not answer questions you don't want to answer. You know how they do it? They say, be sophisticated. Don't say, I don't want to answer that. Pivot to where you want to go. He did. He said, this is self-serving. You're going to write your article. You're going to get paid. Your publication going to get paid. Is this self-serving to me? Jay-Z, Ben talked about that, right? So all I'm saying is Pat Beverly is in the right to say and no. Let me tell you, now for all y'all still shooting back at me, listen to this. Backstory, allegedly, which, tell me if this is allegedly. She asked the question, Melinda Adams, why are we allowing these players to have their own podcast and doing the media's job? He heard it and said he wouldn't do interviews with her until she subscribed to his podcast. This was intentional based off of what she said first. Pat Bev ain't just petty for nothing. That was a comment by well-respected Trey Boogie. Now, in all seriousness, does that give you a different perspective? Because y'all know what's happening in the Civil War. Man, what they doing? What these athletes doing? What these journalists doing? What these podcasters doing? What these retired players doing? Everybody's shooting, right? It's 2024. Cat Williams set it off. Kendrick keeping it going. Drake in it too. Everybody, right? So the point is, why they going off on the deep end on Pat Bev, respectfully telling somebody, oh, since you don't do this, I don't want to do that. And then twice, respectfully, I saw it on video, respectfully says, excuse me, please. Y'all say that ain't how it goes. Using that phrase, that ain't how it goes, got a lot of us, a lot of people, black people, culture, the country, history, in a lot of trouble. That's just the way it is. That's the way it goes. Careful of that one as your response. So I was just sitting there in totality like, damn, they lighting Pat Bev up on some bullshit. This is weak. Like, everybody came to her rescue. Look, she's respected all that. But he asked a simple question and wanted a certain respect. And last time I checked, as a former athlete, we are allowed to do that, right? They don't have to ask us questions. You know when they come in there, they don't even go to half the team. Most of the team is scrubs or people that didn't even contribute, and they don't care. They choose to talk to who they want to. How come we can't choose to talk to who we want to? Oh, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So then there was also people who were pushing back like, that's bad, Pat Bev. The clip went viral. On weekends, I don't know shit going on unless it's a live sporting event or pickleball. That's all I know, right? My kids' activities, live sporting events, pickleball. That interrupted my day. That took space out of my life to make me pay attention to it. So in some way, where they say all publicity is good publicity, sound like some good publicity to me. But last but not least, put the ribbon on it. It was a false report. ESPN put out a statement saying he isn't banned and never was. I wonder how much jet fuel people got in all them articles and headlines, and I saw all of them. Look, I get it. Come to her rescue when she is wronged, but don't come at Pat Bev sideways because she is a she. They try to slant it to, it's because she's a female. No, he asked the dude the same thing, and if the dude would have said no, he would have got the gas face too. So I thought most of the fuel was because it was a woman. And then the other part of it was, if he could do that to her, he could do that to me. So y'all ganged up on Pat Bev. Well, as a former athlete, Pat Bev's still playing, but point being, as an athlete who talks, I'm coming to his defense. Now let's go to battle. Let's gang. Y'all want to play that game. So tell me what y'all think in the comments. I thought it was some bullshit straight up. And Melinda Adams, salute to her, respect to her. But you ain't getting no passes because you're a woman. And you ain't getting no passes because you're a dude. Your job is your job. You come in there and pick who you want to talk to. Well, why can't I? I'm going to pick who I want to talk to.